The Seventh Tower by Garth Nix. Book 3, Aenir, Chapter 22. Milla and Audra saw Adris and Tal hit the water about 200 stretches in front of them, sending up a plume of spray higher than the ship's mast. Milla rushed to the bow and climbed up to look out. As the spray subsided, she expected to see Tal's head bob up and a cloud emerge. But they were only the ripples of the impact. Milla hesitated. She felt that she should dive in, but she was not a strong swimmer. Ice crawls did not swim unless the ice broke, in which case they had less than 2 minutes to get out of the water anyway. "Adris!" she called. "Help them!" "What for?" asked Adris. "Adris will work out what to do before too long." "What an idiot! I couldn't believe it when I saw the hail. You'd never know he was the older of the pair of us, and that by 200 years. "Tal will drown!" shouted Milla. "Go and help!" "He can't live underwater?" asked Adris, shocked. She suddenly launched off the mast and shot over Milla's head. A moment later there was another, smaller plume of spray as the second storm shepherd plunged into the water. Milla watched anxiously. For all his faults, Tal didn't deserve to drown. A few air bubbles burst on the surface of the river. Then one, very heavy-looking storm shepherd emerged, lurching up to hang only a few stretches above the water. Milla couldn't tell which one it was till it reached down and dragged another one up, who held Tal in its dripping arms. The chosen boy was covered in mud, but he was alive, judging by the coughing and spluttering Milla could hear. Astir's boat moved up close to the bedraggled storm shepherds and their human cargo. Adris was about to put Tal on board when Milla cried out, "Wait! He's too muddy! Rinse him off first!" Adris immediately complied, dunking Tal back into the river. The chosen boy only just had time to shout, "No!" before he was completely submerged yet again. Tal was lifted out, spitting, coughing, and furious. Dropped onto the deck, he tried to get up to shout at Milla, but he was taken by a fit of coughing. Too weak to rise, he tried to crawl away from Milla. But he had only gone half a stretch when she grabbed him. For a second, he thought she was going to throw him over the side. Then he realized she was helping him up so he could vomit water over the gunwale. And she wasn't screaming death threats at him. She was just telling him to be careful he wasn't sick on the boat. Even when no more water seemed likely to come up, Tal kept hanging over the side. He felt as limp and washed out as an old underfolk mop. But at least he was alive. And Milla hadn't tried to kill him, even if she was being extremely weird about messing up this riverboat. "So," croaked Tal, "we meet again." "Yes," said Milla coldly. "Traitor, I have not forgotten. However, I have agreed to help find your codex and return it to the Dark World. I will return to my people too, to tell them what I have learned of Aenir and the Chosen's folly. After that, I will give myself to the ice." "What?" asked Tal. "What's the Chosen's folly?" "Do not pretend you do not know," said Milla scornfully. "I have learned that the veil was made to keep Aenirians out of our world. It is you Chosen who have broken faith with our ancestors, bringing spirit shadows back to the castle. You have let the Aenirians establish a foothold in our world once more." "What are you talking about?" asked Tal. He felt dizzy, and his head was clogged with water. "We have always had spirit shadows. We've always come to Aenir for them. The veil has nothing to do with it."
"That is not correct,"
said a voice Tal hadn't heard before. He lifted himself off the gunwale with effort and turned to see who it was. He hadn't expected it to be a Kurshkin. He knew from the Beastmaker game that the lizards were very smart, but he didn't know they could talk.
"I am Kor Atun Zazika. You may call me Zika. As with so many of my kind, I am a historian. As such, I can inform you that you are quite incorrect. The Chosen first started coming to Aenir for the purposes of taking slaves, whom you term spirit shadows, less than 900 years ago. Prior to that, there was a period of more than 1,000 years when there was no communication between the Dark World and Aenir. This was due to the ban on traveling between the two worlds that was established by Astir and Ramallan after the creation of the Veil on your world and the execution of the forgetting in ours.
What? Tal asked again. He felt like this was the only word he knew how to say. Then he got angry. What was he doing, listening to a lizard and a savage? They knew nothing of the Chosen and the castle and its history. I don't know where you heard these stories, Tal said, but I know that we have always had spirit shadows. We have always come to Einir for them. That's what Einarians are for.
Always?
Questioned Zika.
That is not a specific measurement of time. And you think this whole world exists purely for the purpose of providing Chosen with spirit shadows?
Tal was silent. He didn't know how to answer that question. He didn't feel strong enough to debate it. While he would never admit it to Milla or this Zika lizard, he knew that his knowledge of Chosen Castle, Dark World, and Einir was severely limited. The Codex knows the true history, Tal said finally. You'll see when we get the Codex. Zika smiled. At least Tal thought that was what it was doing with its mouth. Milla frowned. Before she could say anything, Tal spoke again. Zika, the Codex mentioned you. You are to take us to Coldstone Mountain. Then I have to get one of the Storm Shepherds to blow this whistle. Tal's hand went to his pocket to pull out the chain with the 2 sunstones and the bone whistle he'd taken from Hasror. But when the chain came out, there was nothing on it. No! Exclaimed Tal. He dropped the chain and started frantically turning out his pockets. I had the whistle and 2 sunstones. Graf,